it is, it's gonna give the district people, the water people, the authority to go in and decide whether this is a private, semi-private, or a public. If it's public, it's gonna have to be chlorinized. If it's semi, it's gonna have to be chlorinized. If it's private and your own well in your property, you're fine. But I know when I lived in the RM of Glenwood, just down the road from us, we had a community well. And nobody used it for drinking water. You could have. But it was mostly for the agriculture to fill up your tanks. And, something like that would be deemed semi-private or semi-public or public and would have to have chlorinization. So of course, all these wells are gonna eventually.
If the government wants to help us build water treatment plants, then
Exactly, but who wants all this chlorinization? So I sort of chuckled because they went to the RM of Piney and they put a lock on there and said, no, you're not using this water. Well, this was water for the fire trucks, for the agriculture, and it put the whole RM in jeopardy while these locks were locked on this well. So they ended up taking it off because the public screamed really loud. But our MLA, Conrad Narr, took water out of that well and drank it. And the government goes, how terrible is he to drink water out of there? That is such a danger to the public. And I'm thinking, I lived in the country in an aquifer for 27 years, and I never tested my water once. I didn't even know to do that at the time. I was a city girl moving to a farm, and I just trusted my water was good. And I said, I guess it was because I never got sick from the water. But even testing, I don't mind that. Like for them to say, like the colonies, for example, they test. The guy said in, I don't know, 45 years, he has had only one test come back positive of something, and he has to take 3 tests in every time he goes, and the other 2 were fine. So they think that the third one was actually contamination at the time of taking the sample or at the lab, because he had to send in another 3 and they were all fine. So he said, and now they're making me chlorinize my whole Hutterite colony. And they don't want that water on their gardens or their thing. So they use the different system that is okay, but it's still like close to $1 million for a colony to do this. And they said the only other option would be in every house they could drill a well. Well, environmental says the more wells we have, the more chance of contamination. So we need to, that's why years ago they went and did the shared well system and allowed 5 people, I think, on a well in some communities or whatever. So they're just sort of, it's just so much overreach that it's beyond crazy. So what we are doing right now is collecting letters from RMs saying your concern on Bill 21. We are the Hutterite colonies, and so when it comes in this fall, it's a bill we held up, so they couldn't pass it. And so when it comes to this fall, they will have to have a committee, like there will be a committee meeting, and we will email each and every RM in all of our ridings and let you know. And if you can write a letter, you could be virtual on a committee, or you can show up in person and have a representative come to the committee. It will really, really show the concerns. And right now, I think we'll have every colony at that committee. So it will, and a lot of colonies have already done it because they've had to. but they still are upset about all the different wells and stuff, so, yeah. But any issues that you guys have that you need me to take back and advocate for you, I am quite willing and,
Well, I know there was that one that I had spoken to you about, regarding the infrastructure.
yes.
Yeah.
And we did write a letter, but no response. So is that project still, so I want to understand, so they want to build a Flying J. Is that my understanding?
There's been some movement on that, and we don't know for sure what the direction is right now. We're dealing with infrastructure on some questions we have in the longer term, so we don't know what's gonna go on there yet, but it's at a different stage in the project than we maybe thought it was, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's probably not as, our concerns long-term are that, the MTI, pardon me, at times, won't necessarily use the term overreach, but puts in roadblocks that maybe you're thinking 60, 70, 80 years ahead instead of maybe more current concerns, but those we'll address on a case-by-case basis probably. We do have some infrastructure planning that we're working on, particularly that pertains to wastewater and potential water projects. So those will be things that, stay tuned. We'll,
Oh, yeah.
as a council, we'll put kind of better top 20 infrastructure or capital projects. So we'll definitely keep you apprised of those if that's a fair assessment, speaking on behalf of council.
Mhm.
Grand Valley Road.
Yeah, Grand Valley Road would be.
Nice to have we're doing some work there. We put a turnout lane, we kind of like some funding from the province.
Yeah, yeah.
We get closer to
There's another different development that's in that area as well. It's residential, that a turning lane will be required, and so we'll be looking to MTI to potentially
Okay.
share
for
the cost.
safety's sake.
Yeah.
It's not a great road to start with.
Yeah.
You got great shoulders and we need to move our traffic over.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Maybe we can help them.
And if I can just, again, it'll probably be something that comes up, in the next council's term, but a two-pronged approach to the long-term concerns around flooding and access.
Yes.
Right now, every time that there's a threat of a flood or a flood, our entire northwest quadrant is blocked off and has to go the long way around. We'd love to see some form of movement on that too, whether it's a raising of the road so the diking doesn't actually impede people's movement, but some kind of a longer term strategy for flood mitigation there. And as a two-pronged approach to that, it's not something we've discussed formally as council recently, but there's the long-standing issue not only of in our ratepayers, particularly upstream of Brandon and Cornwallis, but all the way up to the Shellmouth Dam. Like our agricultural producers don't necessarily get brought to the forefront on a regular basis to have a sustainable program that addresses their every third, fourth, fifth year flooding concerns. So those that'd be separate from infrastructure but interlocked.
Absolutely, and I have talked to several people on that because I just being a new MLA and having this flood the first year, and then farmers coming to me and saying, this isn't the first year, this is like every year, like it's just not feasible. So they did an interview on the radio with me and they said, like, what do you think should be done? I said, well, I'm no engineer, but if I was to suggest something in just my mind, would be down the government needs to purchase some land and dig it deep and have runoff like that it's not going to come down onto farmers' fields. It's just going to become a sort of like a lake or a ditch. On dry years, you're not going to see much water in there, but sort of like the duck ditch idea. Avoiding people's livelihoods.
Or paying them out once and for all.
And so they do have a plan. There is something that is in the works of the same idea, because I had a person phone me and say, your idea is actually on the table, and a plan. What's holding it up is right now is the Wildlife Association and their concerns. So I don't know what their concerns are. He didn't really give me the lowdown, but I do know that there is something there that will work, and it will work for that Grand Valley would never probably see the floods of the water again. Like, you would just, unless it would just a rain, but then it would soak in the next day, right? Not just a massive flood coming down from and bringing that water down.
Yeah, so regardless of how a solution would come, that'd be something I think that our council would want to advocate for.
Yeah.
Is there anything else around the table? We have MLA Robbins here that we would want to,
You mentioned the lagoons.
with wastewater projects. We, particularly in the Spruce Woods, Cottonwoods area, with the growth that's coming, or that we're being told to prepare for growth from CFP Shiloh, we would love to see something advanced there, and we've been working on that on and off for decades.
Okay, so there is a lagoon there that is the size that could look after Portage La Prairie.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've had discussions on and off in the past. We'd love to re-enter that with
Yeah.
CFP Shiloh and the feds.
For the last 15 years, the municipality has been trying to partner with the base to use that, but with the base commander changing every 2 years, you can never get a foothold, can never gain momentum.
Okay, so I know with this whole growth coming, I once a month sit in a meeting with the base and get the lowdown. So things like this, I can say to him, like, you know, with all of this, you're gonna need bigger wastewater. You've got a lagoon down here on Spruce Woods. What's the chance of Cornwallis and you guys and
Any voice that
everyone?
can be added to that conversation would be a good thing. One way or another, we're gonna have to do something there soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what these meetings are, they're business meetings to watch, to see the growth coming in and how we're going to have to expand in all different ways, like,
Is the MP in that?
pardon me?
Is the Jeff in that?
Yeah,
We approached him.
Yeah.
so that is, and I just know about that lagoon because Glenboro needed their lagoon enlarged and a new bigger lagoon, and it's been held up for 4 or 5 years now, and finally it's been lifted and they can go forward. But and so that was one thing that they had asked about using that lagoon too. Like, why dig another one, just pipe into this big lagoon? Because we know even Spruce Woods, Provincial Park, that area, we're not gonna have Portage La Prairie population all come down that road. So that lagoon could be used could have been used for Glenboro, Cornwallis, the base, everything. And I think that would have been sufficient, but
Like,
for some reason they don't wanna touch that lagoon.
like I said, there was considerable work done 15 years ago, and our administration found a feasibility study to hook up
Yeah.
Spruce Woods to that lagoon. So
Yeah, well, and that's what it was built for, is Spruce Woods, is my understanding, and I researched it and had meetings with Glenboro on it. So yeah, so definitely, and that is something that also being a neighbor to the base, if you guys really ever need to advocate for you on stuff like this. Right now I'm working on also, they have 2 or 3 ambulances. I'm thinking 2 for sure. Are sitting in the garage, sitting there doing nothing because the province will not pay their people to drive these ambulances. And they're willing to go outside of their base. They said, if just like our fire truck, we'll go out and help. Why can't we get these going? And I'm going, absolutely. We have a shortage of EMTs. We have shortage of ambulances in the area right now. Why can't we get these going? And their EMTs are way higher trained than even our basic ones in Manitoba, for the fact that they're going to war and that they're doing massive trauma. So I am working on that right now also. So you would see that usage in the RM of Cornwallis.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think why they can't really use ambulances outside of the base is because of the medication that they would have to carry. I don't know if they can administer.
Well, there was talk about one, and that was the Narcan. And the government saying you have to have Narcan in there. And I think the federal government says no. So I think that is, but we have to come to a conclusion that maybe you don't let them send them to an overdose. Like, they can do everything but an overdose. Like, because you don't need Narcan for a guy having a heart attack down the road or whatever, but we could definitely use them. There's got to be a happy medium. And when we've got these resources, we don't have to buy the ambulance. All we have to do is pay for the services.
No, we appreciate you advocating on that behalf. Any other questions from Ms. Robbins? Excellent. Well, thank you, Colleen, for coming.
And
And
definitely reach out,
absolutely.
honestly, for anything. That's what I've been elected to do, is to advocate for you. And I'm not sure how many are coming back here around the table, but I wish you all the best on this and the upcoming election.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to reports. We have a motion to accept the written reports as presented.
You know,
Councillor Ross, the motion, seconder, Councillor Drohan. That was all a matter of public record. Any discussion around any of the reports? All right, seeing none, call for the question. All in favor of receiving those reports as presented? Moving on to item number 7, regarding communications. If we have a motion to receive all those communications. Councillor Brown with the motion. Councillor Drohan seconding. Any discussion around that lengthy list of communications? Seeing none, call for the question. All in favor of receiving communications? Motion carried. All right, moving into accounts and finance. Be resolved, payroll accounts be approved for payment as follows: direct deposit payroll of $25,749.91 and $20,036.80 for a total of $45,786.71. We have a motion for that. Councillor Drohan, seconder. Councillor Brown. Any questions? Seeing none, call for the question. All in favor? And the second motion there, and that is just one motion, correct? Yes, okay, my apologies. And then 8.2, list of accounts and council indemnities, we have that motion. Okay, Councillor Brown, seconder. Councillor Maxwell. Any discussion from 8.2? Seeing none, call for the question. All in favor? 8.3, regarding unaudited financials for the month of July 26. We have that motion. Yes.
I don't get a chance often. Should I give you a little bit of a?
Well, let's have the motion on the table
Okay,
first, and then
yeah.
we'll get that as part of the presentation.
Yeah.
Councillor Maxwell with the motion, Councillor Brown second. And discussion and update from Mr. Maxwell. No, sorry. Sorry, Maxwell too. Sorry, yes.
Yeah, the financials look pretty good. A lot of it's going to depend on, we should be getting our supplementary taxes in the next week to 10 days. So it's going to depend on that. But as it currently stands, certainly don't see a deficit unless the supplementary taxes don't come in. I think they're going to come in higher than budgeted. But we did have those extraordinary costs for firefighting and for and for that disaster financial assistance, that was about 20-some thousand. So, what we're gonna get out of that, we don't know yet, but I'm somewhat confident that even with those, that we're in pretty good shape. Now, whether we have to pull some from reserves like the emergency reserve fund, natural disaster reserve fund or not, we'll see by the end of the year. As far as the utility, just wanted to point out that a couple of leaks were found at Meadowbrook on the weekend, and I don't know if you saw that. Oh, you would have seen that.
Yeah.
But the consumption numbers have come down substantially. So that was,
Which is good for
Worth
everyone.
telling.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it'll affect our revenue as a utility, but it's good that they found them and it's
Yeah.
retains capacity for everyone else in the
Yeah.
utilities.
that's about it for now.
Any questions?
DFA, have we submitted a claim already?
We've submitted, I believe it's around 900,000 that were owed.
For
And then,
DFA or for?
well, they gave us an advance that we paid.
Okay.
That's over and above I can't remember those numbers, but we did get 2 advances,
2022, okay.
and this 900,000 is over and above that. And then we've got 2 smaller ones. We got one bill from Stantec that we just paid a while back, and then the final one for the holdback. But that check hasn't been cashed yet, so we can't submit it until we have a copy of the cash check. But those are relatively small amounts. Well, still 200,000. So between the 2 and the 900,000 that we paid out, we should be looking at getting over $1 million back. So right now, our general operating bank account is suffering a little bit, but it's not like we can't pay the bills. But it'll be nice to get that million or 1.1 in for sure.
Any further questions or discussion around the unaudited monthly financial statements? Seeing none, we'll call for the question to approve that motion. All in favor? Motion carried. 8.4, motion regarding July 26th bank reconciliation. You have that motion. Councilor Brown with the motion, seconder. Councilor Maxwell. Any discussion around that or any update from our financial analyst team? No? Okay.
No.
Seeing no further discussion, we'll call question. All in favor? Motion carried. All right, and this is the item 9.1 that we had added in by unanimous motion earlier tonight. That be resolved that bylaw 1754-2026, amending the arm of Cornwallis zoning bylaw number 1664-03 2016, as amended, be read a first time. There's an application and some information there, but if we could have that motion. Councilor Maxwell, seconder. Councilor Brown. Any discussion around this? This is an application regarding a continuance of a subdivision as far as planning towards more lots that will have to go through a few steps yet. I believe in the Cocoa subdivision. Is there any discussion around this tonight, or I see it as pretty straightforward as just being the first step in the process? Great, so seeing no further discussion, call for the question. All in favor? Motion carried. All right, and now we move into unfinished business, 10.1. I will read the entire motion, and it's lengthy, but whereas on July 13th, 2026, Council received a recommendation from Municipal Planning regarding the application of the proposal to subdivide Northeast 32-10-19W in the arm of Cornwallis subdivision file number 4116-24-8633. And whereas Council has reviewed the application and supporting information, therefore be it resolved the arm of Cornwallis supports the recommendation from Community Planning to allow for subdivision of Northeast 3210-19W and instructs the CAO to prepare the necessary documentation and enter into a development agreement and consult with legal counsel subject to the following conditions. That the applicant's owners enter into a development agreement with the Arm of Cornwallis to cover such matters as, but not limited to, road improvements, including transportation improvements, connectivity, infrastructure costs deemed necessary by council, drainage, driveway access, private services, insurance, and security, the use of the land in any proposed building. This development agreement shall be registered with the plan of subdivision in series on both the residual lot and the newly proposed lot. That the applicants and owners submit confirmation in writing from the CAO of the Arm of Cornwallis, that the taxes on the lands to be subdivided for the current year plus arrears have been paid or arrangements satisfactory to council have been made, and that the applicants, owners pay the capital lot levy fee of $2,500 for each newly created lot. That the applicants and owners obtain any variances necessary to ensure compliance with the Arm of Cornwallis zoning bylaws amended, and that a well agreement service agreement be entered into between the applicants, owners, and residual lot detailing access and use of the intended private services to be located on the residual lot. That the applicants, owners pay the necessary fees and charges related to the technical, administrative, professional, and consultative or other services required by the Arm of Cornwallis to examine and approve the subdivision under Planning Act, Section 142, subsection 2. So if we could have that motion on the table. Councillor Maxwell making that motion, Councillor Grohan seconding. Discussion around this motion. It's a long-standing process that's been underway for a long time. Motion is to just subdivide one small lot out of a larger parcel, as I understand it.
The land has been properly zoned.
Yep.
Highway commercial in the past, by public hearing and whatever else was necessary, and it fits within our development plan of KPP.
And in concert with our legal representation, this passes their muster, these conditions that have been applied.
And just to confirm, the conditions are all within the development agreement, expected to be signed off before the subdivision is approved and registered.
Right, yes. And this is separate from and subsequent to anything that community planning in the province will put on.
Absolutely.
But these are the only requirements we're asking for right now, which are there'll be steps in this process that have to be followed. You know, as we've discussed at length on other occasions pertaining to this property, I'm hesitant to support a subdivision not knowing what's going to be there, but I'm feeling better about it with these conditions that our legal team, our legal representation has encouraged us to have in place. Not that I don't see them as onerous for anyone wanting to be reasonable in a development or future potential development. That would be my input. Again, I'm still hesitant to support a subdivision without knowing exactly what the plans are, but knowing that we have some boundaries in place there, I would be more apt to support it.
And also, like with the development plan, it is classified as highway commercial, and there's certain things that you only can build there, and it's only right along matches. So
Yeah, there's permitted
I'm comfortable
uses.
with this.
So you're referencing permitted uses under the zoning, yeah. Okay. Any further discussion around the table or questions on this? All right, seeing none, call for the question. All in favor of moving forward in the subdivision? The motion is carried unanimously with those conditions. All right. Let's move on to general business, 11.1. There's a tile drainage request under the Hargraves Collins provincial application for tile drainage. We can call for that motion. Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Drohan. Discussion around this tile drainage application. It's not the first and won't be the last in the RM as it becomes a more common practice in agriculture.
It's basically just letting us know what their intentions are, and we're aware of it. So
we've had discussion in the past about these things. And of course, I've always wanted to get some kind of a record of it because generally speaking, these drains go into our drain. Right? And so, I mean, there is some improvement to the land, therefore the assessment is possibly changes. So we've talked about it in the past, but we've never gone through it. Certainly we're thinking about possibly permitting us through KPD or something and getting the assessment reviewed because the land, I mean, it does improve it. Make it much more valuable.
And would that be maybe a discussion to have an assessment branch at some point to clarify with them as to what it does to the value of the property?
Would be worthwhile asking.
Yeah. Any other questions or concerns about the project? I mean, as I understand, it doesn't create new water, it just directs it better. So it flows off in a more orderly fashion. I know we have other tile drainage in the RM and I have not heard of any issues with it.
Yeah, they work well. There's not a real abundance of water that comes out
Right.
of the tiling, but there is some.
And again, it actually gives it some order to it and it doesn't just rush off the surface and create erosion, so. Okay. No further discussion, so we'll call for the question. All in favor of approving this request from our perspective? Motion carried. Right, 11.2. It's a motion that authorizes the destruction of records in compliance with province of Manitoba Regulation 5397. And there's a listing there that will be a matter of public record, all within the guidelines of the province. And so if we can call for that motion. Councillor Maxwell. Seconded, Councillor Brown. Any discussion, questions around this matter?
I'm just wondering if this meets what the record retention taxonomy is. Normally, public entities have to meet a minimum of 7 years, and I see some of these are 4 years old,
There's
2 years old. even.
There is a regulation and it's not all. Actually, for us, it's 6 years for financial stuff, but
Okay,
some of them like preliminary tax rules, 2 years. And so there's a big list. So when we compiled this list, we followed the regulation.
so this goes straight to destruction. It doesn't go to the archives for
No.
storage first.
What's left now is archives.
We
didn't
archive our
touch
own here?
those. We are, and Terry's looking at maybe sending like old minutes, sending them to Winnipeg.
Archives.
Yeah.
There's not a need to archive any of these items here.
These are the ones that don't need archived.
So
Okay.
the process, is it like Iron Mountain that comes in and does it for us? or-
Shredded, or I know that Brandon Computers offers that service
Okay.
now too.
With a certificate of destruction as well?
Oh, there is, no, I've never heard of that before. Is that a provincial thing that you've done?
Yeah.
No, I've never.
Yeah, otherwise, they could just take it and put it in the dump.
Oh, we watched them. They came with the truck.
Okay.
And the
Fair
shredders
So there's verification protocols.
Yeah.
that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they do it right on site.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Any further questions or discussions on this? Seeing none, call for the question. All in favor? Motion carried. All right, and then 11.3, there's been a recommendation that we table that.
Well, if the resolution is just to acknowledge the complaints, then I say we read the resolution.
Okay. Yes, the resolution does say, the resolved council accepts and acknowledges written formal complaints as presented regarding the a noise bylaw exemption. And I would suggest possibly that as part of our bylaw, I think I'd like to see maybe an amendment saying that or possibly another resolution that we move this kind of thing to our bylaw discussion as to how we proceed with these sorts of complaints when there are concerns. But again, you can just acknowledge these tonight in that motion. I'm comfortable with that. Then I would suggest that we probably need some further discussion down the road on how to handle noise bylaw exemptions moving forward.
With the committee then, like, we can
Yeah, we can
accept this and then.
accept, yeah.
make a
So
committee item.
if we have a motion to receive this correspondence regarding complaints,
I'll make the motion.
Councilor Ross, Councilor Maxwell seconding. And any further discussion then? Okay. Call for the question, all in favor? Motion carried. 11.4, be resolved that council enters into an agreement with Clean Farms to operate on a limited basis a baler twine and bag recycling program at both transfer stations. Can we have that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Councilor Ross, Councilor Brown seconding. Any discussion around this?
You see we pay a fair little bit of money per ton of collected product, so it'd be a win for us.
It's good to see too that they are willing to take the plastic silo bag. We'll maybe want to clarify if they'll take the bale wrap for silage bales, because that might be just slightly different. But
Should we be putting something on the website to say that service is available?
Yeah.
once it's up and running, I would say absolutely. Yeah. Okay, any further discussion around that?
I think you were mentioning about the silo
Yeah.
bags and that, well, the round bales that they look like giant
Marshmallows, yeah.
So that would,
Hopefully that would be qualified. It doesn't say specific that.
and that's hard stuff to do.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Grain bags as well, like when guys choose to bag their grain, which we're starting to see that more and more. So yeah, this goes a long ways to it not ending up in a landfill or somebody just burning it in the corner of their yard or piling it up. So yeah, or letting it blow is even worse. Yeah. All right. So seeing no further discussion, all in favor, call for question. Motion carried. All right. If we can have a motion to go in camera regarding some matters that are in preliminary stages, meeting all the criteria. Councilor Brown with the motion. Second, Councilor Maxwell. All in favor? Motion carried.
Maybe can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
First, were you clear on how to do that